Round 4 of the 2019 Formula 1 World Championship takes us to arguably one of the most carnage, unpredictable and chaotic places to race in the world of Formula 1, Azerbaijan, Baku. Well done, Baku, for the last couple of seasons. We've seen some fantastic races, and many people would actually argue that both the 2017 and 2018 Azerbaijan Grand Prix were the best of the season. So going into this race, hopes are high, I think we shall say, but it's a busy weekend, everybody. We've got Formula 1, Formula 2, and I know some of you don't want to hear this, but also Formula E. So it's going to be a major weekend for racing, so I'm pumped. But of course, the fact that Azerbaijan is here, you know there is going to be all sorts of stupid things going on, all sorts of carnage, and you know, or hope, I'm guessing you hope, there's going to be some sort of crazy result in there, and many people are speculating that we could see a bit of a surprise podium in the works. Every single season so far this race has been held, so 2016, 17 and 18, we've seen a surprise podium, and only one driver, yes, one driver, has got more than one podium at Baku, and it's Sergio Perez. The most podiums at Azerbaijan is Sergio Perez, who got one in 2016, one last season in 2018, and he's the only driver to do that. On the first season the race was ever held in 2016, it was Rosberg who took the win with Vettel second. Then in 2017 it was Ricciardo who got the win, Bottas second, and Lance Stroll got his first and only podium in Formula 1 for Williams. That was their last podium in Formula 1, and that seems like only yesterday, 2017, and that podium. But yeah, 2 seasons ago. Quite some time now thinking about it. And then last year, Hamilton got his first podium, his first victory in Baku, and Raikkonen was second with Perez in third. This season, can we see any more surprises? Can Hulkenberg get his first podium in Formula 1? Renault not looking too brilliant in practice so far. We'll talk about the practice results in a moment. Lance Stroll with the Racing Point team, that seems to be a match made in heaven with Baku, with either Racing Point or Lance Stroll being on the podium in every single race. But again, it's only been held since 2016. And actually, I don't want to get too carried away, because the 2016 race was a bit of a snooze fest, to be honest with you. But I think 2017 and 18 has shown that if early on, especially the first couple of laps, we can see maybe a few crashes, a few crunches in that midfield, then potentially a safety car can really throw open strategy, throw open just opportunity for drama, which is what Azerbaijan absolutely thrives off. You remember back in 2017 when Vettel and Hamilton came to blows. Vettel thought Hamilton was brake checking him, so Vettel went alongside and rammed into the side of him. There was that saga. Last year, we seemed to have every single driver in the wall at all times. Charles Leclerc got a P6, which was a mega result for him. We saw the likes of Vettel leading at certain stages. The 2 Red Bulls take each other out. We saw Bottas, he was leading and got that awful puncher. So this year, you're expecting chaos. And did we get that straight away? Yes, we did. Yes, we did. Oh my God, yes, we did. Practice 1 didn't even go ahead pretty much. It was a Ferrari 1-2 with Romain Grosjean in P3 with no time set. And then the rest of the field with no time set. And a big, huge incident involving George Russell, a loose drain, a cranky crane. We'll talk about that in a moment. But we'll talk about the FP2 result, because although on screen I've just noticed it says FP1, this is FP2, because FP1, because of Russell's incident, was cancelled, red flag, so basically one less session of running for all the teams, which I think is going to be a really interesting dynamic, because in Formula 1, every lap counts, and a lot of teams are bringing new upgrades to the track this weekend, so I think it's going to be a lot of learning in a very short amount of time, to expect a lot of running tomorrow morning in the final practice of the weekend. But practice 2, again, you can't read anything into practice, but it was the 2 Ferraris looking strong in a circuit which I think will suit their car quite nicely. Hamilton slotted in P3. Verstappen split in the 2 Mercedes was quite interesting. Then Kvyat and Albon in 8th as well. So 6th and 8th for Toro Rosso. A really good job for them. Sainz up in 7th. Gasly in 9th, and Norris rounding out the top 10. So McLaren actually with the Renault engine Practice looking okay, but I expect them to perhaps have a more difficult weekend as we go through into qualifying. Magnussen was P11 with Giovinazzi P12, Perez P13, Raikkonen 14th, 15th for Daniel Ricciardo. Ricciardo. You can tell it's been a long week, but I'm going to keep that in there. Grosjean, my boy, down in P16, 17th for Hulkenberg, 18th for Lance Stroll, and 19th, and the final runner, Robert Kubica. George Russell did not do any running in practice 2, and we might as well talk about that now because we've got a bit of time. And before we look at predictions, at what we can kind of read from practice, what we can't read, before we look at that, let's talk about this incident. Practice 1. George Russell going down what I believe is just after turn 2, the fairly long straight into turn 3, manhole cover loose, he runs over it, the manhole cover flips up under the rear of his car, and actually I think he was quite lucky there wasn't more damage, but it did destroy the floor of his car. He goes through turn 3, parks over, and that in itself is a scary thing when drains flip up. I know as a Grosjean fan, back in 2017, I want to say, could be 2016, 2017, I think, at the beginning of the weekend in Malaysia, a very similar incident happened. Now, that's a little bit different because Malaysia's not a street circuit, so it's a little bit more unique, but that was a huge tyre blowout, one of Grosjean's biggest crashes in his career, and that's saying something. That is definitely saying something, but because, yeah, that boy's had some big crashes. But honestly, it's a huge, dangerous thing. And on a street circuit, even worse, even more dangerous. Those barriers are super, super close. When it happened to Grosjean in Malaysia, there was plenty of runoff through the gravel trap. Here, yes, you're not quite getting up to the speeds through swooping long corners. And it was on a straight, so that helps to a degree. But still, that's a huge incident. And that could have been so much worse. So first of all, Russell was kind of lucky. He escaped with fairly minimal damage, though missing practice 2 will hurt Williams. And yeah, they're going to be at the back, but maybe Kubica could give him a bit of confidence in that Williams team fight. So Russell is out. They start fixing the drain cover, and you're thinking, oh yeah, this is going to take some time. All of the drains needed re-welding because obviously that hadn't been done properly. So you're thinking, yeah, this could take a little while. You see footage of the of the Williams back on the truck being brought back to the pit lane, and the truck driver probably didn't mean to, but drove into a bridge. The crane was too tall, and he was driving under the bridge, in actual fact. When I first heard this, I thought, what? What do they mean drove into a bridge? But he was under the bridge, and the crane hit the bridge above him. Crane destroyed, oil leaking from the crane all over the Williams car. It was an utter mess, and it's something we've seen before in Baku, that perhaps the marshals aren't quite to the standards of what we see in other places around the world, but you've got to admit, they always do as good a job as they possibly can, and while it was a bit of a blunder, it's only their 4th Grand Prix, so I'll cut them a little bit of slack. It's caused a lot of drama, a lot of chaos for us, so fair enough, but it was a very Baku kind of start to the weekend. But what can we take from practice? Not a lot because of that incident, and in the second session, all the times seemed to be completely distorted. But as we expected, Ferrari looked quick, and that's not a huge surprise. I think what's the biggest surprise for me is perhaps Red Bull coming in with this, what is supposed to be a plus 20 horsepower upgrade on their Honda engine. They're looking okay. And so, here is my predictions. Leclerc for the win. He's gone well here in Formula 2. He did really well here last year. Ferrari's looking super quick. He gets my number 1. Bottas, he's my number 2. No real reason why. But Mercedes, they are looking so good. I've said this many times. I expect there to be fireworks at some point this season with Hamilton and Vettel. Maybe it could be this weekend. I see them getting caught up in something, but what I do foresee this, ladies and gents, is lap 1, corner 2, corner 3, just lap 1 in general, utter chaos, utter carnage. And Gasly, keyboard warriors, Gasly, I know. He is starting from the pit lane. Gasly is starting from the pit lane, and yet I've got the audacity to put him on the podium because that is what Baku does. It's just anything you know about Formula 1, Baku sits you down and it slaps you around the face and says, look, for all of you saying Formula 1's predictable, get in the bin. That is what Baku says. And so that is what I've gone with. But if you guys are new around here, you might not be aware, but I always try to do light-hearted predictions. It's very easy to say Ferrari 1-2, Mercedes 3rd, but that's boring. That's boring. Let's try and spice it up a little bit. And in the Fantasy League, I've taken out Lando Norris. Daniel Ricciardo goes back into the team this weekend, but actually Renault not looking too spicy so far this weekend. So I expect them to do well. And yeah, sure, Renault could be one of those teams, if they keep out of trouble, could be sniffing around that podium this weekend. But we're just going to have to wait and see. Qualifying report will be out as early as possible. Formula 2 is on this weekend. There is so much racing. It is brilliant. I hope you guys have enjoyed. I hope you enjoy the weekend, and I'll see you in the next one.